Hello, welcome to Longshot Larry's Sports Astrology. Today we're looking at the India-Australia Test Series, the first game. A few different things from the normal with the Frawley method. So I'll be going through those differences for those who are interested and want to try this themselves. Haven't done many test matches, so it's a bit of a learning experience for everyone, so we'll see how we go. So this is the date for the first ball in Nagpur, India. So if you're not familiar with Test cricket, it can go up to 5 days. Yes, 5 days. The video we looked at the other day was T20 cricket, which goes for about 3.5 hours. So this is the long form of the game. So looking at the Frawley method, India are favourites, so they're going to be represented by Aries and its ruler Mars, Capricorn and its ruler Saturn. Australia are represented by Libra and Venus. Cancer IC, so we don't have a ruler for the fourth. The part of fortune is in Scorpio, but Mars is already ruling the first house. Jupiter is within 3 degrees of the ascendant, but it doesn't rule anything else. Uranus is applying to an opposition to the part of fortune. If it was a lot closer, within 1 degree, that would be one for the underdog, but it's too far away. You can see that the moon is in the last 3 degrees of the sign. It will trine Pluto before it goes out of Virgo, but Frawley does say when you're looking at test match cricket, you move the moon the whole sign to find the aspects. If it is in the last degrees of the sign, you can move it into the next sign to find the first aspect it makes to give you an indication. If we look at the Antiska positions here, Venus, which is Lord of the 7th, is in the 7th house. It's just past that 3 degrees. You could argue that's one for Australia, the underdogs, but it's right on the edge of being useful. So we're going to see which aspect the moon makes here. Next aspect I find once it's moved into Libra is it's going to trine the Antiska of the part of fortune up here at 12 Aquarius, just before it reaches Mars here, Lord of the First. So that is one for the favourites. So we've got, it's just out of range out of 3 degrees. You've got one for the favourites. That's a very weak one for the underdogs. So one for the favourites from the Frawley method. The thing I really like about international cricket or international sports is you can use the chart for the country. So this is the chart for India. I've found it works quite well. What I really like here is Mars down here at 12 Gemini is exactly trine the Jupiter for India, 5 minutes, and it's going to be spending the whole test basically trine that Jupiter and Venus. And Jupiter natally is trine Mars, so that's pretty positive for India in my opinion. You also look at the sun position for a country, not much happening there. The midheaven and its ruler, not much happening there. And the moon for a country is very important because it represents the emotions and feelings of the country. Now, because cricket is the #1 sport in India and they follow the fortunes of the Indian team very closely, this moon position is going to be important. Rohit Sharma is the Indian captain. We have a time chart for Rohit Sharma. Some very interesting comparisons between Sharma and Pat Cummins, which I'm going to outline as we go through. So he's a Taurus, and his sun is opposite Pluto and trine Neptune natally. Now Neptune is right on the MC there, so you could argue that's triggering his Neptune trine sun, which is positive. He's got Jupiter applying to his Venus, and Venus rules his Taurian sun. So that's quite positive, and he's also got Mars is applying to his Jupiter. If you remember, that ties in with the Indian chart. And Jupiter is sextile Mars, which is a very nice aspect for a sports person. So he looks pretty good. The only potential downside is that Jupiter is triggering Venus square Neptune. What I like to do with these charts is look at the synastry between, in this case, we're going to be looking at the chart for India and the chart for Rohit Sharma. So you can see the Indian moon down here at 5 Taurus is conjunct the sun, 3 degrees of Rohit Sharma. That's a nice link. I've already talked about that Venus Jupiter is sextile his Jupiter, and Mars, that's a nice link. I do find it interesting that the Saturn for India, which rules the Indian MC, is exactly on his ascendant, very close, so he probably feels the weight of expectation of the Indian nation. Interesting links. Alright, looking at the chart for Australia now. You can see at the start of this game, Saturn is on the MC. Saturn's a very important planet for Australia. You can see Australia has a Capricorn sun, so Saturn rules that. The MC is probably Capricorn. There's a bit of debate about the exact correct time and place to use for the Australian chart. But either way, it is an important planet. If that was well aspected, you'd probably, well, the node is separating from a trine there, but Jupiter is very closely square that at the start. It is an activation, but a trine or a sextile would be better. We got Pat Cummins, the Australian captain. We don't have a time chart for him, but he's another Taurus, and his Venus is in Aries, very similar to Rohit Sharma. Jupiter is applying to a conjunction to his Venus as well, so they're probably going to go alright, Australia. Mars is exactly on his south node, which is not great. The other interesting thing here is he's a Taurus with his Venus in Aries like Rohit Sharma, and he also has Mars very closely sextile Jupiter, similar to Rohit Sharma as well, and I found that very interesting. They are quite similar. And if you look at the synastry between Australia and the captain Pat Cummins, you'll see a very similar link here. The moon for Australia is conjunct Pat Cummins' sun, which reminds me I forgot one aspect for Australia. This aspect for Australia, I mentioned that the moon in a country's chart is very important, represents the feelings and emotions of the public. You'll see that the sun is square the moon. That's not a great aspect. The sun tends to burn things up when it's in square or opposition. Doesn't combine well, so possible disappointment for Australia there. So in summary here, there is a minor aspect. I think that Jupiter square the MC is probably the main thing, and we have to the moon is not void, of course. We do have to move it into a different sign though. With cricket games, it is a good idea to check the weather. I have checked the weather for Nagpur, and there's no rain predicted over the next 5 days, so we should get a result. The Frawley method, well, you've got a weak indicator for Australia. You have to move the moon into the next sign, and that points to the favourite India. I think India generally have the better aspects for this test, especially that Mars seems to be lining up quite well for them. Both captains have that Jupiter conjunct their Venus, which rules their sun. So I think overall in this game, India are favourites. Most of the time home teams do win test matches. It is very difficult to win a series if you are the away team. I think India are favourites and they probably win this one. So put your comments below, be interested to see what you think. So please like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.